On this episode of the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast, I'll be diving into the deep end of the pool and talking about the vault track Splash. Recorded on August 1st, 1985 at the Washington Avenue Warehouse Studio in Edina, Minnesota, Splash is a track that Prince, Wendy, and Lisa worked on quite a bit from August 85 to July of 86. Tracking at the Washington Warehouse Studio, then mixed several times at Sunset Sound Studios in September of 85, and again in January 86 and June of 86. That's what I mean when I say it's been worked on quite a bit during that 85-86 period. Orchestral overdubs by Claire Fisher was added in July of 1986, and likely even more additions were added in 1998 in preparation for the song to be finally released as part of the Prince and the Revolution comeback album, Roadhouse Garden. Of course, the Roadhouse Garden project was abandoned, so the song did not receive an official release by Prince and the Revolution at that point. It was finally released in February of 2001 as a download for the NPG Music Club Edition #1, along with a couple of other vault tracks from the 90s, videos for When I Lay My Hands on You and You Make My Sunshine, his duet with the late Angie Stone, rest in peace, and a new track that was called Peace. So, that 85 Splash was the oldest song that was released as part of that NPG Club, Music Club Edition #1 in 2001. So there are a couple of versions of this song floating around, one with the orchestral overdubs and one without. I don't know which version of Splash was released to the NPG Music Club. If somebody knows, I would love to hear that and add some clarification. And but from a lyrical standpoint, no matter what version you're listening to, the one without the orchestral overdubs, one with, maybe it's the reworked 98 version. I don't know exactly, because the dates of the songs that have been floating around have not been clearly identified, at least not to me. Nonetheless, the lyrics are the same, so it's really just a matter of how does it sound, what additions did Prince or Claire Fisher add to the song, the bass song. The song has a little bit of a reggae beat to it, sort of like Blue Light from Symbol album. And in taking cues from the title, there are water-based sound effects splashed throughout the song, especially noticeable during the choruses. Lyrically, the song is a breezy, light, romantic number. I don't have a lot of additional insight into the lyrics. There isn't any backstory that I've found to it, or anything that might speak to a deeper meaning, or something that can be pointed to that was a theme in Prince's music, besides just a song that he wrote that had some romantic ties to it. The song is more of a vibe than I guess a deep lyrical dissection, but we're going to go through the lyrics anyway, because that's what we do here. The first verse: I called you on the phone. You knew it was me all alone. You didn't even say hello, 'cause you don't need words to let me know. All the things that you do to me, you fulfill my every fantasy. So the first few lines make it sound like this is a couple that's having relationship issues. You didn't even say hello to me, even though you knew it was me. But he clarifies then in the second half of the verse with the line, 'cause you don't need words to let me know all the things that you do to me, you fulfill my every fantasy. So second half of the verse, he definitely clarifies that there is not a problem here. This is a relationship that seems to be extremely healthy and doing very well, to the point where they seem to be operating on a completely different wavelength than some couples where there's a lot of miscommunication or problems with getting their points across. People who, a lot of couples run into situations or arguments due to miscommunication. And in this case, Prince is saying that they don't even need to say words. They can just be together in silence or even silence on the phone, which is a little weird to think of, somebody calling on the phone and not saying a word. But that's kind of what he's saying here. It's that there seems to be an understanding. The chorus, splash, I'm under your power. Splash, I could go for hours. Splash, you could devour me, and I'd only want you more. So what does the splash represent in these lyrics? Is it a sexual innuendo? Referring to maybe wetness or something that results in arousal? The outcome of arousal from either the male or the female perspective. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just more like making a splash. So she makes a splash in his life. Making a splash meaning something along the lines of showing attraction, very attention-seeking. When somebody makes a splash when they enter a room, they make an appearance. They make an impression. And maybe that is what he's talking about here. The song doesn't really seem to dive a lot into super sexual metaphors or innuendo, so I'm not sure that it means that. I know a lot of times in Prince's songs, something that might seem on the surface to be very innocent or not overtly sexual in nature, when thinking of it in a different context, it certainly comes out that way. But I don't necessarily get that from this song, and maybe it's just because the rest of the lyrics don't go that direction. So I'm not entirely sure that it's anything more than just she makes a splash in his life, and she is the one that is certainly adding that extra oomph when she's around. I'm under your power. The line, I could go for hours, yeah, that certainly can be looked at as a sexual line, maybe like he's so aroused by her that he can go for hours in bed. So yeah, maybe I don't know. What do you guys think? I like to take different opinions and kind of apply them to my own meanings, but I don't take this to be an overly sexual song. You could devour me and I'd only want you more. So devouring, voracious appetite for each other. It could be a voracious appetite for sex, but also just a voracious appetite to be with each other, to be around each other. You could devour me and I'd still want you more. So basically, you can do whatever you want. It's not going to change my views or my opinions and my feelings. In the second verse, when you make love to me, I witness things I never thought I'd see. Cherry, sugar, wintergreen, fireworks and rain in every scene. Oh, I love it when you play with me. Ask your mama if you can stay here with me. He tries to verbalize what it feels like to make love to her in a very exaggerated language. Cherry, sugar, wintergreen, those are three words that I don't really associate with each other. Cherry is a type of fruit. Sugar is, an additive to food to make it sweeter. Wintergreen is a type of mint, so I don't really know how they all mix together to try to describe what it feels like to make love to this woman. Fireworks and rain, also two words that don't often go together. Typically fireworks displays are canceled when there's rain. Although maybe it would be good from preventing fire perspective, but you can't really light fires in the rain. So fireworks and rain almost feel like an oxymoron in some ways, where trying to use them to describe something and using them in the same manner doesn't really fit. But I think that's kind of the point. Like, all of these words, just they feel random in some ways, but they also inexplicably describe what it feels to make love to this woman in the singer's eyes, or in the singer's perspective. I witnessed things I thought I'd never see. So he's saying these are things I thought I would never see. Fireworks and rain. Okay, yeah, that makes sense, because you don't normally associate fireworks and rain together. Thought he'd never see it. He saw it now. Cherry, sugar, wintergreen. 3 words that don't typically get used together. Thought he'd never see it. But he does now. But he loves it. Oh, I love it when you play with me. In spite of the odd association of these words together, he's loving every minute of it. And he wants her to stay with him. Then we get into the chorus again, which is the same as before. Our love is a real one. Together we'll have so much fun. You go from room to room, leaving traces of your sweet perfume. If I could, I'd bottle it. Everybody should know the feeling I get when I'm in your cool embrace, your lips, your arms, your legs, your face. Smells her everywhere in their home. His home, her home, their home. Not sure which home, but whatever rooms they're in, he can smell her when she leaves. There's a saying about, bottling someone's bathwater because they're so attractive or so quote-unquote delicious. I don't mean that literally, but you know what I'm trying to say. And Prince kind of uses that in Sexy MF when he says, "Sexy motherfucker's so fine, I could drink her bathwater." Well, this isn't the exact same thing, but it kind of falls into the same vein of just, bottling somebody up or consuming something that is associated with that person, whether it's bathwater or the bottling up the smell of this person's perfume when they go from room to room because it's so distinctly associated with that person and that person's unique smell. Everybody should know the feeling I get when I'm in your cool embrace. Well, that's kind of what the point of the song is. So I think one of the ways that Prince wants to communicate when he says everybody should know the feeling I get, well, he does that through song and by creating and writing songs about the people that he loves and cares for or finds very unique or special. Your lips, your arms, your legs, your face. He's just listing off parts of her body that he's attracted to or wants to highlight. And that pretty much brings us to the end of Splash. He just goes through the chorus again. And there's a bit of a musical outro. And the song is more or less over. It's like I said, lyrically, there's not much going on. It's a typical love song. It's a typical, I want to express my feelings for this person who I find very special song. But it's done well. I'm a little surprised it's never got any sort of official release, physical release. Yes, it was officially released as part of the MPG Music Club, as I mentioned, but, the MPG Music Club doesn't exist anymore. So those songs that were released there, unless they were put on some sort of compilation album like Chocolate Invasion or The Slaughterhouse, or found their way onto, like, a CD B-side, like You Make My Sunshine, then they kind of were lost, I mean, not literally lost, because there's versions of Splash out there everywhere you can find on YouTube, and people have shared this file over the years after it was released, and probably before it was released on the MPG Music Club. It was being likely shared on Boots in the 80s and 90s. So that's Splash. If you want to listen to it on, Spotify or Apple Music, you can't. So you got to find it on YouTube, or you got to have, your own MP3 of it. Nonetheless, it's a fun song. Wendy and Lisa are very clearly heard in the background. And I'm going to now read a little bit from the Dwayne Tudall Parade and Sign of the Times era studio book. Despite having an archive of hundreds of unreleased songs, Prince continued to write and record new music at an almost inhuman pace. To stop recording, to put a cap on your work, and then put a boundary on it, it actually, for me, is to put a boundary on your gift that comes from God, and I can't do that. I write so much because I know that it's therapy for me, or evolving your spirit, actually, every time you go back into the well and examine it. So the more I write, the more stuff I put out, the quicker I get to my destination. My music is a soundtrack to my psyche. But to keep up that momentum, Susan Rogers recalls how Prince would find inspiration in any place he could find. I had kind of a tote bag with me at the house, and it had a copy of Goethe's Faust in it, in some wintergreen Tic Tacs or gum. It had the word wintergreen on it, while he was writing a song, Splash. And then in the lyrics, it's cherry blue wintergreen, fireworks and rain in every scene. And I remember thinking, damn him, that was him rooting through my bag. Although, I don't think it's cherry blue wintergreen, at least not according to the lyrics that I covered. That's such a Prince thing to do, observes Wendy. He was so into that. Like, what do you got in there? What do you got in there? We would say, why are you doing a Wrigley Spearmint gum commercial? Or something, adds Lisa. We would make fun of him and sing it in a girly voices, and he'd just say, shut up, sing it right. Prince recorded the basic tracks by himself in the studio and created a mix at the end of the session, but decided to revisit it multiple times, including having Wendy, Lisa, and Claire Fisher add their respective flares to the song. All right. Yeah, that's Splash. Let's see if there's anything more about this song in the book that's worth reading. Okay, a couple of weeks later in August of 85, there's a quote from Wendy in the book. He had most of Splash done. It was one of those things he left me and Lisa alone to do all these vocals on. And we were like, let's fucking blow his mind. We're going to put our recorders on it. Prince was great at being able to be in his own band and change styles and do all that, acknowledges Wendy. But you do get to a point sometimes where it's like, I'm repeating myself. So then you look for other things to come in and give a different flavor. Wendy and Lisa were asked to fill in the sounds for Splash, so they decided to pour everything into helping him fulfill his vision, including sound effects, more Fairlight keyboards, percussion, and their signature background vocal layers. They also reached back into their bag of instruments from their childhood, adding the sounds of their wooden recorders. We all went to a Waldorf school, Lisa and me and Susanna and Jonathan and David, and they teach you how to play recorders. So we played recorders on Splash, all those little lines in between on the verses, and he just loved all that out-of-the-box stuff. He loved us giving him more tools. He loved it, and we loved doing it. Yeah, agrees Lisa. It was like finding a room in your house that you didn't know was there. Okay, I think that is going to do it for Splash. Thank you for listening. This has been the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast. I've been your host, Jason Brenninger. You can find the show at pressrewind.net on social media. And until next time, thank you very much, and goodbye.